Hey folks, so while I will usually make a beginner strategy video after a tutorial, this time around I'm doing something a little different. See, Stationfall does have some great strategic moments to it, but it's also a very chaotic game, especially in higher player counts. Adding on to the fact that there are just so many moving parts, it can be a little frustrating just getting off the ground. So while these tips aren't guaranteed to make it any more likely that you're going to win, I think they'll help you have a little more fun right from the start. So with that in mind, here are my top 5 tips for Stationfall. Okay, this is kinda obvious, but each character comes with suggestions on how to achieve your goals, and while it's tempting to be like, nah, I don't need the game to tell me how to play, it does offload a lot of the early strategy decisions. These tips are clear, concise, and usually legitimately helpful, so do yourself a favor and at least take a look. You don't have to follow them in order to win, but they will at least give you a good jumping off point if you feel a little lost. At the start of the game, there's tons of compromats strewn about the station, and these are usually good to have. Lots of characters will start in a space with compromat or be one section away, so I like to spend the first couple rounds just picking them up. Or at least that's what I want it to look like. See, there are characters that will align with your goals, or be in a good position to help you out with them, and I like to put an influence on them early so I can activate them later. Using them to pick up compromat, especially if you can also lead them towards a helpful location, is a good way to hide your intentions. Speaking of, you don't want to broadcast what you're doing, so as I've said, you want to identify the characters whose goals align with your own. It's pretty hard to fully hide what you want to do, but if you can keep your actions broad enough that they could correspond to a number of different possibilities, it'll be harder for other players to block you. And with that in mind, you should also be looking for ways to block your opponents. Knocking out NPCs, damaging sections, starting self-destruct, these are all disruptive acts that are likely to annoy somebody. Just make sure they also benefit you. Knowing when to reveal is a tough equation. You don't want to do it too early because that just telegraphs your intentions, but reveal abilities can be very useful. The way I approach it is to try and wait until revealing will either guarantee me a few points that might otherwise be in flux, or just as a last resort near the end of the game. Honestly, you don't need to reveal at all, so if things are going your way, don't even worry about it. Of course, I'd say it's more likely that you'll be taking a few unexpected turns, so my last tip is, this is not one of those games where as long as you have a master plan, everything's going to go smooth as butter. No, you're going to try and do something, and then depending on the player count, by the time it gets back to you, like 5 things might have gone wrong and you'll have to deal with an all new set of circumstances. I don't mean to say that the game is completely out of your control, though it will feel that way sometimes. I just mean that you need to focus on what you can do this turn and maybe next turn. Unless you're some master strategist, planning 5 turns ahead is just going to frustrate you when things don't go your way. And if you are the kind of person who plays 12D chess, why are you watching this video? So those are my top 5 tips on how to enjoy your first few games of Stationfall. Yes, it can be a bumpy ride, but there's a lot of fun to be had as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you have any of your own suggestions, especially if you have some actually useful strategy advice, please leave them in the comments below. And as a reminder, my Patreon backers got to watch this video a month before anybody else. So if early access sounds like a cool thing, or you just want to support the channel, joining the Patreon is the best way to do that. Of course, subscribing is good too. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!